What is the artist thinking? My name is Josh and this is Inktology, and today we're going to be going over my recent drawing of a Knight of a Thousand Swords. It's pretty much a critique, but yeah, let's get into talking about. Oh, and if this is your first time seeing the channel, or you're new at all, please like and subscribe. That'd be awesome. And hit that notification bell because I come out with videos every week, and I'm an artist trying to have fun and teach and learn and have a community of fun people to be around. So yeah, definitely join my Discord as well, and my Instagram, and you can message me there. And let's begin. So Knight of a Thousand Swords, or Sir Koats, is what I call him. Originally, it was just me wanting to draw, a skeleton on fire, and then it kind of resembled the Ghost Rider vibe going on. So right here, I'm focusing on the head and the look. And this is important to me because I have his posture, but I don't really have any of the details. I don't really know what I'm going to be putting on him and dressing him. I just need his posture, but I want his gaze to be looking at the sword, right? And his other hand will be holding a lantern like he's going through a cavern. So this is what's going on in my head. I'm thinking, okay, I want him creeping around, but that's all I know. I don't have the other swords. I don't have his whole role or his story built out. It's kind of coming together as I'm drawing it. As I'm drawing in the chainmail around him as he's wearing it, I also have to keep in mind the negative space for the fire, as it'll be the brightest and it'll be just pure white probably. So I need to make that, but also put in the details, which is kind of hard to kind of pencil in the details and know I'm gonna have to ink this later and keep it very, looking pretty cool with the negative space of the smoke and the fire from his face. But that's what the erasers are for. And I keep going at it right here. I want to make him a little bit angry, kind of curious, not so like demonic looking or evil or anything like that. Just skeleton dude, just traveling the dungeon, morphing slowly. And this is kind of the fun part of drawing. If you're like an artist like me, where you're doodling and then it turns into a character, and you really enjoy the development of the character and you keep adding. This is like the fun part, right? When you start to sketch in all the items around the character, kind of like really shade in the textures and the clothing and the, all the fun stuff that we love about creating characters. And yeah, it happens in the penciling stage. Now you can do it in the inking stage if you're that confident, sure, but penciling just gives you so much more room to, make mistakes and correct them, and it's way more easier, less stress, right? And we want our drawing experience to be stress-free because we enjoy the art. And if you'll lend me your ear, there's a really good quote by a really great artist. And he says, "It is good to love many things, for therein lies the true strength. And whosoever loves much performs much, and can accomplish much. And what is done in love is well done." That's your boy Vincent van Gogh. Really good stuff there. And what it pretty much says is that if you love a lot of things that you're doing, you're going to do them well. And because you're doing them well, it shows that you love what you're doing. And that's how art is to me, and hopefully it is to you. You just love creating. That's why we're artists, right? We might not be the best, but we sure are having fun while we're doing it. Now, the drawing is starting to get a little complicated because I have his pose. I want his right leg forward towards the, front of me, and then his left leg will be kind of to the side. But making that angle look right, it's kind of tough because I want to add layers of cloth and chainmail and the metal armor that would be around his, his leg and his thigh. And so I start extending it kind of the way the sword is kind of getting larger towards the camera or the viewer. The leg kind of does the same thing, but I mess up. You can see it right here. Man, look at that. I have lowered his kneecap so low that it kind of feels like his leg is extending far longer than it should, and it looks kind of strange. So I have to end up erasing it and lifting it, and you can see it's now a little bit higher at the bottom of the page. And then for this situation where I am shading in the shadows coming from his face and smoking parts of his body, kind of complicated because there's different light sources directly near these objects. So the shadows are going to be either really harsh or, somewhat distant, but I have to make it kind of feel like they're close at different angles and different distances from the wall, which is a pain. And because of all the negative space from the smoke, I am shading in all the background black. And I'm starting with a Molotow pen, just finally drawing in the details of the fire and the smoke from his face. If I can make his face look good, I've said this before in a couple other what is the artist thinking videos that once I get the face down, I feel more confident. I can mess up on his arms and legs and stuff and kind of work around that, but the face is what attracts most of us, our views right away, right? We look right at the face, and that's kind of the most important half the time. So I'm adding these little streams of smoke coming from his head. That's because I have a chainmail on top of his head, and chainmail has holes, but I didn't want it to just be smoking straight from every hole. I kind of, want to imagine that maybe there's some patches of hair still left on his head. I don't know. But that's just to give the effect that he's lit on fire. This guy is definitely hot. Now, when you're cross contouring, usually I wouldn't draw these lines to outline the shadows. I would just thicken the line like I'm doing right here. Here's a thin line that goes across, but if it met through the part where I had outlined, it would become just a thicker line. That's, contouring your lines around whatever you're drawing. But in this situation, I kind of practice this style of kind of like a comic book style where I kind of outline the shadows first, and then I go in and crosshatch or develop the curved contouring within it. And it gives a similar effect. It doesn't look as clean as the old school, dip pen lines that get thicker and thinner, depending on, the weight and stuff. But it still gives a really good effect. Now, I desperately do not like drawing swords, and handles are the hardest part because I just never get the proportion correct or the design right that makes me feel happy, nor the handle. The handle always get. This one here is kind of like this cylinder-based sword, so kind of fun creativity with that. But the rest, I kind of hide away a lot of their stuff that drives me insane. And I think a lot of us do that with our drawings, right? We try to hide the hard parts, but still make it look cool, which is part of our creativity. And doing the chainmail like this, where I'm just scribbling in circles, you want to kind of separate the circles as much as possible. Don't keep circling within circles, because then it doesn't give enough of the chainmail effect. It just kind of feels like scribbles. And his hand here, this is one of the rare parts where the fire is consuming his hand in the front. So I made it kind of translucent looking, but I messed up. If you see the top of his knuckle right there, there's a full line, and that wasn't meant to be there. This sword was meant to have like rust and kind of junk all over it, like seaweed or kind of gunk. And I tried creating this detailed work here to bring it to life. But then for some reason I started making a reflection on the sword as if it was shiny instead of rusty, which threw off the entire vibe of that sword. But I had to go with the shiny part, because I already started with it, and I don't know. And then here, with this sword in the background, you can see that the handle's built out, and I'm creating the sheath part of it, but I'm messing up, because there's not actually a sheath there. I just made the handle and thought the sheath came afterwards, so I started drawing it. But actually, that handle was supposed to be a part of another handle, so it's a two double handle sword, and I messed up there. And I drew this line below it to create the other sword below it first, so I know what I'm doing wrong. And then you can see here, now you can see the handle below the shading there, and it's separated. Fixed it, but I make it worse. And when I get kind of like nervous about drawing, when I feel like I'm not doing so good, or I need some kind of like brain power to continue being more creative, I'll just grab my black filler pen with this brush pen and just start blacking out all the shadows and the darks and doing that kind of work right away, because what that does is it takes off the stress from me thinking that there's a lot of page to fill, right? Because I'm filling it with black, it just takes more of the space off and less burden of having to put an object or really cool design in that area, because it's all black. And it's kind of a little trick. And it works a lot of the time, because the high contrast in a drawing usually draws the viewer's eyes, to it. And it's good. It's good to have contrast in your drawings if that's your style. But here I'm putting in a lot of black on his armor and shielding and stuff, because I want it to have a reflective look to it, as if he just got this new armor. It's kind of a little bit beat up, but it's still kind of new. But it was very hard to mix the two worlds. But luckily, since I messed up on the sword, his chest plates and everything looked all right. Now, shading the shadows is interesting, because you can see I'm stopping the shading every, half inch when I'm shading down, which creates this little darkness of the line at the top when I'm starting each line. But it actually can be worked towards your benefit if you do it right. Like right here, I'm actually putting in these lines where I think the rock would be bending or shaping around, right? And that kind of gives some depth to the rock and the brick. And then as I didn't want to draw all the bricks and all that stuff, I kind of wanted to have the light shine in certain areas. Drawing these fading away lines away from the center of him, away from the fire of his face, give that effect. I learned this from Bernie Wrightson. If you've ever seen Bernie Wrightson's drawings, he uses his line work to build the effect of motion like this is. And to me, when I'm designing and drawing like this kind of style where there's motion being put into the cross hatching and things, that's when it really comes to life. Like I feel like my drawing's moving, it's actually performing the event or character that I am trying to create. And, I kind of lose myself in that design. I love this. This is a very meditative, putting in each stroke is really just, it's kind of relaxing in a way that I can't explain anything else, right? And one of my favorite authors, Thomas Merton, has this really good quote. Art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. And I think that's so beautiful, right? Like we're here drawing and we're creating something new that's not of us, but in that we're finding ourselves. We're really discovering what this character is bringing out, and we're thinking about things we probably never thought about, or are dealing with things. And that's a lot of where my art is. And I'm curious, do you use art in that way to kind of comfort you in times of stress or burden or just life getting too hard and you need to pull away from that reality and get to a world where you can kind of be in control a little bit? I do. That's my favorite thing about drawing is that no one can tell me what's happening. I am in full control. And art is that beautiful because you get to participate and tell me what you see in it. And I love seeing your art. And I'm sure tons of people love your art. And I really want to encourage you to share it. Share, share, share. Art is what makes the world go round, right? It can heal people, it can change people, it can really build creativity. And that's what I love. Creativity doesn't need you to be a perfect artist. It just needs you to really love art. And with Sir Coates here, I find him to be just fascinating because he was stressful, he was fun, but all this line work and this adventure I had building him really encourages me to do more. And if you like doing art like this, hey, please don't forget to like and subscribe, join my Discord, hit the notification button, do the whole 9 yard things. But definitely hang out and message, leave a comment down below, and share your art if you can. But remember, if you're a creative, go create.